friends all know that I'm cool. I've been this way since high school. Cause life's never been sweeter when you're just a cake eater. When it comes to hockey, nobody can stop me. My high school team, I was playing on the top 3.
Welcome to the Youth Hockey Up High School Hockey podcast, brought to you by Mayo Clinic Sports Medicine. I am Danny Ryan. Joining with me in studio, Tony Scott.
How you doing, Danny?
Good. And Carl East, back up in Duluth. Nice to see you this weekend.
Hey, Danny. Good to have you here in Duluth this weekend.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a pleasant drive up there to see Cloquet and Duluth East play, so that was fun.
And Eden Prairie.
Oh, I forgot about them.
Oh, I didn't. That was a good slam.
Wasn't meant to be.
Get the show off on the right foot, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, talking about games that happened last week, we had probably one of the biggest stretches of games last week, all season. So let's start it off right. Grand Rapids, Hermantown 4, Rapids 3. Carl, you were at this game. You want to talk about this one for a little bit?
Sure, yeah. I mean, this may have been the most fun game I've seen all year so far. It was a great game, back and forth, two very good teams, two very good coaches who are trying to outthink each other throughout the course of the game. Some creative line matching, just going toe-to-toe up throughout. The real difference in this one was Hermantown's depth, though. They matched their top line with Ryan Sandlin up against Grand Rapids' big line of Payne, McLaughlin, and Miller, and that line hung in there against the top line, but where the real mismatch came was on the second line, and that's where Tyler Watkins and friends kind of made Grand Rapids pay. They scored the game-winning goal there, and even though Grand Rapids put on a lot of pressure near the end to close what had been a pretty big shot gap, Hermantown did enough to hang on and won 4-3.
Yeah, I think you touched on something important about Hermantown. I'll make a statement about them later in the show. But the Logan Judnick, Tyler Watkins how do you match that? Line. They're so fast and they're just so talented and hard-nosed. I mean, that's just, you're right. That's a really hard. And then they moved Waddy up on the power play too. So now it's a really good power play.
And the other thing is too, they shut down Rapids' top line for the most part. Now, what happened at the end of the game, Carl?
Yes, I want to know.
Yeah, well, I didn't have a great view of it because it's hard to get a good seat in that arena where you can see everything. But a couple people went over into a corner. A big fight broke out, apparently instigated by Rapids because they had two people tossed. Hermantown only had one, but just left Grand Rapids without two defensemen for their huge section game against Duluth East on Thursday.
In the defensemen, it was Heitkamp and Drake Anderson, right?
Yes.
Right, yeah. Two of their top three defensemen, so that's a loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had guys playing Thursday night that haven't seen a lot of ice time. Let's just put it that way.
Well, was it chippy before that, Carl, too?
Yeah, there were some moments, yeah. I think Grand Rapids plays with an edge, and they're going to get in people's faces, so that's to be expected to some extent. And you could see it sort of going in this direction before it really blew up at the end, yeah.
Just out of curiosity, because the sight lines in Hermantown are so bad, where were you sitting in that place? It's awful.
I was just next to the box they have where they set up their cameras and stuff. I was standing in the last row there.
Got it. So you did have a seat in the bleachers. I mean, even the bleachers are a bad seat.
Yeah.
Well, Carl, you were right next to where they videotape, and you had a bad seat.
Yeah, it's not the best place. But it's a great energy place, but not the best place to watch a game.
Okay, so moving past that one, because we'll touch back on it with the East game, but on Thursday, I was at Lakeville South, Lakeville North. This was an overtime win for Lakeville North. Lakeville South, I'm very impressed with the speed of their defensemen, and Malinsky, sorry, I stumbled through that. But Malinsky is very fast and so
beautiful goal.
Oh yeah, that was fun. And the atmosphere was second to none here. It took me over a half an hour to get out of the parking lot.
I can imagine.
And so that was a lot of fun. And one of the coolest things before overtime started, Lakeville South, one of their players got off the bench, started slapping his stick on the ice, and then ran himself into the boards to jack up the crowd. That was pretty cool.
I love it.
You've never seen that before,
no,
And then Lakeville North's just staring at the kid like, "What are you doing?" But I mean, it was pretty cool. You don't see that kind of crowd, jacking, that I don't know. It was interesting. That was fun.
Yeah, I like that. Anytime you can walk away from a game and say, I saw something different, that's something that was different.
That was really different. And so I was impressed with that. Keaton Pearson was still the best player on the ice. He made like a dipsy doodle move twice and then like dumped the puck in, like a classic Pearson move sort of thing. And it was just like, wow, like if I could build a team around a defenseman, it would be Pearson type of thing. Like clear Mr. Hockey candidate this year. If you haven't seen this kid play, he is fun to watch. And Omaha's getting a gift with him.
No doubt.
So, the difference maker in this game is Lakeville North probably has a little bit better forward talent than Lakeville South right now, and depth in that issue. That's my takeaway right now with South.
Okay.
So,
all right, next game.
Carl, you were at this one, a shellacking that Duluth East put on Grand Rapids, 5-0. But I think some of us here would argue that Rapids played this way because they were missing 2 defensemen.
Oh, yeah, poor Rapids. Obviously what happened.
Well, what was the takeaway from that game, Carl? Obviously, this has to be one of Duluth East's best game of the season, too. So, because you don't just put a 5-spot, in blanket, probably the best or one of the best offensive teams in the state.
Yeah, I think that's a really impressive part of this game for East is shutting out Grand Rapids. I'm not sure when the last time Rapids was shut out, but I'm sure it's been a long time. And, you've seen this in other games. We know that Rapids isn't deep. They're going to get outshot by some other good teams, and that was the case again in this one. But East was able to completely keep, Kane, McLaughlin, and Miller off the board. And then, for a while, this was a fairly close game. The East was getting a lot of shots, generally not a lot of pressure, but not scoring. They were only up 1-0. But then, like in the second, after a long story, they finally got in the second goal, and after that, floodgates just opened, and East poured it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed after that second goal, it was over pretty much.
Yeah, well, I think I'll make a comparison here. Rapids without those 2 defensemen is more like Delano.
Oh, here we go. Wow. You came with both guns blazing. I think that Delano is better than Grand Rapids without those 2 defensemen, no question about it. I think even Delano might be better than Rapids straight up.
Well, then
why'd they lose 10-1 to Holy Family? I don't know. That's why we have this show.
Well,
counseling.
Yeah,
they beat Wayzata though, so there you go.
And Rapids has that chance later in the season.
And Hermantown did not beat Wayzata, so there you go. All right.
Okay. Well, any other takeaways, Tony, on that game?
No, it was an amazing atmosphere though. I watched a lot of it online.
I think.
That's the best atmosphere I've ever seen at Heritage, period. It's not even close.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, that was, for me, being there to watch a high school game this weekend was a lot of fun. So, I could see that. And then let's talk briefly. Holy Family crushes Delano 10-1. I think this really has a lot to say with the 5-minute major in the first period. Holy Family got 3 goals in that period.
Yeah.
On that power play. So that kind of changes the momentum of the game, and then you string yourself out more forward, in trying to go offensively, and you get strung out and you hung out to dry defensively.
Yeah, I just think it's one of those throwaway games for Delano, and they'll just get back on their horse, and they did so on Saturday.
Chalk it up as a loss and move on.
Yep.
Okay, Friday, Moorhead 9, Minnetonka 5. This was a
Tonka trailed in this game.
No, Moorhead trailed.
Yeah, Moorhead trailed in this game. Scored 5 goals in the third period. It's an amazing, a great team. I saw them play on Saturday. I think they have. We talked about it ad nauseum in the show how much speed that Moorhead has, and they're super young. They have very few seniors on this team that are big contributors. Although I saw one on yesterday that's kind of one of those key cogs to their team. I think this is a team that'll be one of the top 5 teams in the state next year, and I don't have them in my section seeds. I don't have them very high. But I think they're going to win the section.
Don't preview that, Tony.
I won't. I'm sorry.
Well, I think the thing, if you're a Spuds fan, what you got to be worried about is your goaltending. Your starting goaltender has an 8.5, and then your backup has a.
Well, they don't even have a backup goaltender, really. I mean, he's a JV kid. So Moorhead has got some issues if Lance Leonard can't perform. He had 35 saves yesterday. I saw what Lance needs to do in order to get them to the state tournament, and that was yesterday.
Yeah. So they played Jefferson yesterday.
Are you talking about Moorhead? Or are you talking?
Yeah, Moorhead.
They played Breck yesterday.
Breck. Oh, you were at that game.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yep. So, okay, Saturday. Good ring of games on Saturday. St. Michael Ellerville goes up to Roseau, wins 2-1. This is a big win for them. They have another good game this week against Holy Family that we'll preview. But this is a good section win for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that STMA is slowly but surely becoming the number one seed in that section.
Carl, is STMA getting any love from you in ranking standpoint yet?
Not really, no. I mean, they're still hovering in the 15-20 range, and I don't think Saturday's win did anything to change that. I mean, beating Roseau was nice, but it was still a close game, and I'm still not convinced that Roseau belongs to be higher than about number 20. So I think this week will be a big week for STMA. They have Hermantown and Holy Family, so that's two really good teams that you have to measure them up against.
Thankfully, Friday night I sold a lot of my Roseau shares just before the market closed.
Don't worry, I never had those.
I know, I did. I bought a lot on Sunday and sold a lot Friday.
Okay, Moorhead 3, Breck 3. Tony, you were at this one.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was one of those Breck would score, Moorhead would score, back and forth kind of game, and then it froze up in the third period. I think Moorhead had great chances to win late in the game, and then in overtime, Breck had a lot of great chances to win in overtime. It was one of those either team could have won. Kind of glad neither won because neither was real deserving.
Who
more
stood
deserving.
out really like player-wise?
I wrote an article about it, but and I don't know if I had him in there or not, but a kid named Mitch Macklett.
Oh,
he's
Mitch,
got
yeah.
just unbelievable speed. He's one of those long players.
Skinny, lanky kid.
You don't think of him as fast. He's got an extra gear that's really impressive. I talked a little bit on my in my article. Carter Howell, some of those unsung guys that did really well. And Evan Beniak from Breck, he made the game. I mean, they got a major penalty. Carson Kosebed got a major penalty as a result of his hard work on a penalty kill. Kosebed comes and just blows him up 5-minute major, and as a result, Breck scored. So I thought he was kind of one of those, guys, that gumshoe kind of guys that just gets after you the whole time. And I was like, if I were Les Larson, I have that guy on the ice more because he does a lot of good things for the Mustangs.
I like the Mustangs. I'm not going to deny that. And I think they have a lot of good unsung players on their team.
I left yesterday very impressed with Breck. I don't think they're as gritty as Hermantown, but I think
But their game's not a gritty game, too.
What's that?
They're a flashy team. They're not a gritty team. So, they're going to put up shots on net sort of thing. They're not going to be the gritty type of Hermantown team. So, I think if they play each other, it'll be a good contrast of styles.
Yeah, I think it's going to be if Breck makes it to state, which I still think is a 50-50 proposition, they'll have a real good test. Hermantown is the better of those two teams, but I left impressed with them. Way more impressed than I was before the season started.
Okay, moving on to another Class A team with a good win. Matamidi beats St. Thomas Academy 2-1 in overtime. This was probably one of the start of the shocking, upsets that we started to see. I think for me, I'm not as surprised in this because when we were watching STA play Jefferson on Tuesday, Tony, STA's kept their first line, but line juggling the 2 and 3, and 4, and so they're trying to find sparks again because 2 kind of quieted down since the start of the season, and 3 hasn't really been that good against the good teams, and so they're kind of line juggling to see the Vegas of the world, see if they're going to step up and move into that role. Obviously the defense is still working a little bit, but they also got to find a spark on offense and score like 5 goals against a Matamidi team.
Yeah, they should be able to. But They didn't.
They didn't. That's what's scary if you're a St. Thomas fan.
Yeah, but they, I thought I liked what I saw from St. Thomas against Jefferson, where they move the puck really well and they just have great speed and they seem real confident. So I don't know why they lost to Matamidi. I've seen Matamidi twice, and I thought that would be a mismatch, a 3-4 goal game the other way. But give credit to the Zephyrs, they won.
Matamidi has St. Thomas's number in all sports, and so that's not really a surprise when it comes to that. So next game, this was a big one. Stillwater loses White Bear Lake 2-1. How did this happen?
Well, I think I'll let Carl chime in a second, but I think what happens is they're looking forward to hockey day. Obviously, they're more worried about the weather over in Stillwater for next Saturday because it's going to be 45 and raining.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they look down on their schedule and we play White Bear Lake, their biggest rival. And that's a rivalry game. Even last year, White Bear, who wasn't very good, gave them all they can handle in both games. So I think that it's kind of a trap game for them. They lost their trap game. I think they'll be ready for Saturday. And I think one other reason, all kidding aside, I wrote undefeated in about 16 or 17 texts last week, which pretty much threw the goocher on them. Carl, what do you think about that 1-2 game?
Yeah, I think what I take away from this is that White Bear, they did it again. They tied Edina, they beat Title Murray. They've shown they can give the top teams a lot of fits, and they're doing it by playing that pin stagger trap. If we've seen over the years, they can do one thing well. It's this: when they have the talent to do it, they can really cause problems for top teams and muck things up. So they're going to continue to do that. And sure, they may also lose some strange games down the stretch because when you play this style of hockey, you kind of open yourself up for that. But hey, it's working for them so far.
Well, and I think they have good goaltending too. I think that's also a difference maker for them. Is you can play defensive and trap like that, but you also have a netminder that can save some games for you. Next game, Eden Prairie 3, Duluth East 2. Full disclosure, I didn't stay for overtime, Carl. But I'm wearing the reason why I didn't.
Right.
Yeah, Dan had to run out of the game so they could go win an auction in Cloquet and get himself a Cloquet jersey.
It's a very fine looking sweater, I must admit.
Yes, and so I left early so I could get this Cloquet jersey, which made the trip all worthwhile. But this was a good game. I said this was East playing well. Carl, you said this was East playing above average but not great. Why were you saying that?
Yeah, I think I think what they did well is that they shut down Casey Middlestaff for pretty much the entire game. They did well there. They played fairly tight defense, but they never really got rolling offensively, especially the top line didn't really have anywhere near the chances they had against Rapid two nights earlier. So, the offensive push wasn't quite as, and really the puck possession wasn't quite what it can be. They were losing a lot of draws and such, but which they dominated on Thursday night. But at the same time, still not a bad game for East at all. They played fairly even with a very good team. And the winning goal, was a dump in from the blue line by Nicky Lieberman that Kirk Meyerhoff just dropped into his own net, which was painful to watch, but an unfortunate ending to a good game. But hey, you have to make those saves.
The big question, Carl, is who's Austin Jupy? I've never even heard of him until I read
Spencer
it on
Rudrud.
Well, Spencer Rudrud, I know who that is. I don't know who Austin Jupy is. He had a goal and assist yesterday. What line does he play on? Who does he skate with?
Each third line both scored both their goals, and so he's playing with Fitzgerald and blanking on third name right now. But that line had a lot of good chances. He was rolling three lines all the day on Saturday. All three of them, looking pretty decent at times. So good depth, solid defense, but.
A couple other takeaways, though, Carl, was Hunter Joannis was out during this game for a game misconduct, talking off to the ref in the Cloquet game, so he was out in this game. So then it was Blakowiak and Sullivan, and then what's that, Tom, number 20 pitch, P-I-C-H. Pikowski.
Pikowski, yeah.
I can't say names.
That's fine. That's fine. Pikowski
is a good player.
Oh, yeah. He's a JV kid, and so is Spencer Rudrud.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be kids you'll be talking about in 2 years that are amazing players. Pikowski's the one that I like the most. I think he should be a top 9 kid all the time for Eden Prairie.
Well, and the thing that Eden Prairie scored the first goal against Cloquet at the last minute of the first period when they put Sullivan and Casey together. So eventually those two have got to go back together.
Haven't I made that? I think we should scan the I've said it 3 or 4 times in the show. Just let's get rid of the facade, put the two together, and start winning hockey games.
And just be okay with it. Instead of testing out players, at least continuing to do this. And he has a lot of talent across the board, so he can. We're not saying that, but I think if you're going to come into section play and beat a Holy Family team, you got to put that line together. Bring the band back together.
That's right. I agree.
Okay.
In watching Eden Prairie twice this weekend. I was trying to figure out, okay, what is Lee Smith trying to do with these lines? And I think I finally was sort of catching on by the end yesterday. And I guess my thought was he's trying to make sure he doesn't repeat what happened last year. He wants to have three good, fairly deep lines they can roll out there. He doesn't want to get outplayed by another tough defensive team. So he must be able to match that. And if you watch Eden Prairie this weekend, they weren't scoring a ton, but they were playing tough. They were, rolling three lines, playing decently across the board. So I think that's what he's aiming for. Whether that's the right strategy or not, I don't know, but that's what he's trying to do.
Okay.
I agree with that, but you and I all know that when push comes to shove, Casey's going to be out there 80% of the game.
Yeah, and he plays better with Sullivan.
Yes, and he plays better with Nolan Sullivan.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Next game, Centennial beats Elk River 5-1. This one kind of came out of nowhere.
After watching the game together, the three of us,
the first of the meeting between the two,
3 or 4 weeks back, I would have never seen this coming, especially at Elk River.
No, this was a pretty surprising to me, but this is a Centennial team that's kind of grindy, to say the least.
Yeah, they don't give up, and the other thing is, I just didn't see them having enough to get over on Elk River.
Firepower.
Yeah.
Like McGregor's good, but like they don't have the firepower that Elk has, sort of thing.
And they haven't had any consistency. I mean, they had a great Schwann Cup, and then they lose. And it was like, come on, Centennial.
Yeah.
Just do what you do. Play your best at all times. I'm sure Coach Menny is just pulling his hair out like, what did this just happen?
Yeah, what is going on?
Yeah, exactly.
And then the last game of on Saturday, Delano 4, Wayzata 3. Wayzata is an anomaly right now. We know they have a lot of talent, but they are not playing good hockey.
I no comment. I mean, I got to go watch them because could you ever imagine the words Delano beat Wayzata? Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about the depth of players that each association, each high school has, and Delano beat them. And we know this is a great Delano team. I've talked about it ad nauseum, but still, Delano should never beat Wayzata.
Well, it's weird. This is a defending state championship team
with talent returning.
That got older too, and so. Maybe Wayzata wins the Lake Conference. This sort of thing.
I've never doubt Wayzata.
His Lake Conference play starts this week. You could see that happening.
I could totally see it happening.
Okay. Well, that's the end of our games that we did last week.
Crumpling it up,
throwing it away.
All right.
Okay. All right. What are we doing next, Tony?
Now we're going to do a segment called the mailbag. We brought this up last week.
Mail time.
A little mail section here. So we're going to have a little section. We did get 3 questions. Danny, you're going to read the questions, and the 3 of us are going to try to answer them to the best of our ability. Go ahead, Danny. What's question number 1? And where to come from?
Question number 1 from Hockey DJ on the forum to Tony. Should the top Minnesota teams play the top tier 1 teams in a tournament style?
Although in fantasy world, that would be nice. I think it'd be a complete waste of time. That would be my answer. We had enough important games to be played here in the state of Minnesota to go play USA Tier 1 18 teams would be a waste of time. Because our top teams are going to destroy their teams. I mean, we've proven that over the last few years when the top Minnesota teams will just beat Shattuck. Yeah. Shattuck's the best team in the country. Yeah. If we go play Chicago Mission or Chicago Young Americans or Omaha's 18 teams, it's not going to be close. I think it would be a waste of time.
Well, if you look at the junior gold teams playing in the national tournament, and you know who was the championship game? Edina versus Wayzata. And this was their junior gold.
And this was their high school championships.
Yeah.
We're not talking apples to apples here.
Carl, any takeaways on this one before we move on?
Yeah, this isn't something I know a ton about, so I'll defer to Tony there, but I tend to agree. I'm not sure I'd be valid here. I would like to see more high school crossover games just between Minnesota and other states. In the past, you get the occasional East Coast team that would come here and vice versa, but it hasn't happened in a while, so that's something I'd like to see again.
Yeah, St. Thomas played Culver Academy a couple of times.
Yeah,
that's a tier 1 team.
Yeah, exactly.
He's talking about a Massachusetts high school team or Michigan high school team.
Yeah, that could be kind of cool.
That would be interesting to see. No doubt.
I would like to see that.
Centennial went out and played Regis Jesuit and a few of the good high school teams in Colorado this summer, kind of on a getaway trip, and they did real well.
Yeah.
But they didn't destroy them. I mean,
No.
Regis Jesuit, I don't think has lost in the last few years in Colorado, and Centennial beat them like 4-1 or 5-2 or something like that. So about expected.
Yeah. Okay, next question coming from Larry in St. Cloud. Why did Keegan Karki and Ryan Hewlin not play?
There have been healthy scratches since they've returned from Switzerland. And
What team? I didn't say.
Oh, this is the National Development U17 team. So these are players that played high school hockey in Minnesota, very good hockey players. One for Cathedral, Karki, and Hewlin played for Hibbing.
Both goaltenders.
Both goaltenders, and they've been healthy scratches since they've returned from Switzerland when they went over there and played. I can only suspect that they were in violation of team rules, probably in Switzerland, but I don't have, a statement or an official statement. But it's a bit odd that these kids aren't playing, so they must have done something very grave. But it's only those two. I looked at their starting lineups last night, and it's only those two. It's no one else is sitting, so it's weird.
Yeah. What happens in Switzerland
stays in Switzerland. But apparently it doesn't stay in Switzerland. They brought it back with them. So it's too bad. They're two good goaltenders that we would, from a high school standpoint, we would love to have in our system.
Okay, last question. Daryl from Esco asks, what group wins championships, defense, forwards, goaltending? Carl, you wrote a nice article about this. What was your takeaway?
Yeah, this is a timely question. And basically what I did in this article is I went and looked back at basically every state champion since the two-class split. And the common denominator across all these teams is they have great defense. I mean, there are only a handful that didn't have at least 2-1 defensemen, and the couple that didn't were all teams that, that played really well with a trap or a defensive style and had one really great defenseman. So it's pretty clear across the board. You need that. Not only do you need the defensive talent and the defensive focus, but from a coaching standpoint to make it happen.
Well, then at that, who wins this year, Carl? If defense wins championships, who's the state champion based on your what you researched?
Well, if you look at some of the top teams right now, Team like Edina has a lot of defensive talent. They're young, but they have potential. Elk River could have 2 D1 commits by the end of the year.
Well, they do.
Just got
they
one.
do, Carl. Yeah, they have 2 D1.
They have 2 this week. Benton Moss committed to New Hampshire.
Yeah. And so potential there. Eden Prairie could get there. I think they're trying to play more defensively. They certainly have 1 star in Lieberman. Holy Family, a lot of defensive talent, but plays open style hockey though. So that's probably my short list for now, but could change.
All right. Danny, what's your answer to that question?
I kind of agree with Carl here. I look back at, even in Class A, defense kind of wins championships. And I think something else that wins championship is depth. You have to have depth across the board. Not one good line of forwards, but a third line that can actually score 2. I think that makes a difference. You look at Wayzata last year, their 4th line was amazing. Yeah. So depth also plays a factor with really good teams, but being able to break out the puck and actually control the play on your style there wins championships. I don't think goaltending wins championships.
Wow. Usually that's the case in the NHL. It's the team with the best goalie wins.
Yeah, but a hot goaltender in the state high school league doesn't mean anything. I mean, we've seen that before. We just talked about Keegan Karki and Ryan Hewlin. Karki didn't win a state championship, and Hewlin didn't even make it to state. So,
right.
And they were clearly the better goaltenders in their sections.
They
were
were
coming
the
out.
best goaltenders in their sections.
And so it's that.
Yeah, maybe you can get them
difference.
2 state, but I don't think you can win a state tournament.
Well,
we've never seen it. It's rare.
Even
Very
when
rare.
Stauber was at Denfeld.
Yep.
They didn't win state. They were 3rd, and they were in the consolation bracket. So I mean, that's and John Casey won state, but John Casey was also surrounded by a
Oh my
great
gosh.
Rapids team.
Deep teams, yeah.
It's not like when we look at the great goaltenders in Minnesota history, or even recent history, it's not a determining factor. When Rapids had Avery Peterson and Hunter Shepard, the Mr. Hockey and Frank Brismick Award winners, they didn't make it out of their section semifinal. So,
Right.
I mean, let's look at that.
Gosh, do you have to remind people?
I do because
okay.
it hurts. It hurts.
Right.
What's your takeaway on this one?
Well, I'm going to go off the board. I'm not going to say either defense, goalie, or forwards win a championship. I think it's coaches win championships. And sometimes it's coaching, like X's and O's and traps and all that stuff. But I think it's is the guy attractive to play for? If your local high school has a really bad coach, teams are going to find ways to leave and go to privates. Or if you're a great private school coach, are you a really attractive coach to come play for? If you don't have the players, it doesn't matter what the defense or the forwards or the goaltender matters. If you got a good coach, that's what wins championships.
Well, Schrader left Lakeville because he could play as an 8th grader. Because the coach let him play as an 8th grader, Jordan Schrader. So, I mean, that's attractive sort of thing as a coach.
It has to be attractive for the top players to play. If you're living in Edina, do you want to go play for Kurt Giles? Well, of course you do.
Hell
he's
yeah,
a great
I
coach.
do.
He's won championships. He's played in the NHL.
Yeah.
So that's just a perfect example. Bill Lechner. I mean, there's so many reasons that's
Randolph.
important. Mike Randolph. I mean, he's like the god of the East Side. I mean, whatever Mike says, kids do.
Plant.
You
go off of this
you
list.
just keep going. And I think Scott Koborinsky's going to have that same effect up in East Grand Forks. I mean, kids they're not going to leave. They're not going to go anywhere. They're going to play in the USHL. They're going to stay home. They're going to play for Cobra. They're going to win championships there.
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of thing. I think the coach is the most important part of this.
Yeah, I agree. A good coach can go a long way.
Here's another example. I mean, do you think if they had some gym teacher at Eden Prairie High School that Casey Middlestat would have stayed and played his senior year? No, he wants to play for Lee Smith.
Yeah. And you can tell, like, whenever you talk to Lee is passionate.
Oh,
sort
yeah.
of thing. Like,
He's
that's the coolest part.
Players coach of all players coaches.
Yeah. And so that is a determining factor, and the coach's way of scheming the game too.
Right. All right. Mailbag is done. We're moving on to our rapid fire round.
I'm covering up
and
mine.
Danny's
right now.
covering up his paper because I know I want to cheat off of Danny here.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go section picks. Now he's putting his iPad in front of it. This is becoming ridiculous. All right, we're gonna go rapid fire. And I'll call out the name. Section 1AA. Now, this is, I want to just clarify, this is who's going to win
the section. As we see it right now.
Not the seeding. So remember, when I say Moorhead at 8AA, I don't have them seeded number one, but I think they're still going to win the section.
This is just as it stands right now, who we see our tournament to be.
Correct.
And so,
Correct.
we just
big determination because I don't think Moorhead, unless they do some great work down the stretch, will win.
And things are going to change from what we pick. The Nokas of the world are going to be people.
We have no control over Anoka.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. 1AA, Carl.
Lakeville North.
South.
North. Danny, 2AA.
Tonka.
Eden Prairie.
Eden Prairie.
Wow, no Holy Family. Okay, 3AA. STA.
Carl.
Burnsville.
Oh, I hate you.
Oh my
STA.
gosh. I like that Burnsville pick. All right, 4AA, Carl.
Stillwater.
Hill.
Stillwater. 5AA, Danny.
Blaine.
Maple Grove.
Centennial.
Oh, I like that. 6AA, Tony says Edina.
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 Oh, wow. Our first Goocher.
Yeah.
Our first Goocher. 7AA. Carl, you get to go first.
Blue East.
East.
I'm going Elk River. 8AA, Danny, you go first.
Moorhead.
I say Moorhead. Carl?
Spuds. Yeah, I think.
Spuds, that's our second Goocher. All right, let's go to 1A. I get to start off. 1A, I'm going Northfield.
Northfield.
Yeah, Northfield.
All right. We all thought Northfield was going to make it last year, and the Mankato team won. I also think that Lourdes is going to be there. in the end. 2A, Carl.
Breck.
Delano. For lots of reasons, just because it's A, to be different from you guys.
They're my state champion.
But B, because I think this is the year they get over finally.
Okay.
I just do.
They have yet to do it.
I know. All right, 3A, I'm going New Ulm. Danny?
Laverne.
Laverne.
They do it without Jackson Nelson. That's the fun
You're
part.
saying Laverne, Carl? Carl?
Parts roll.
All right. 4A. This is tricky. I'm going SPA.
SPA.
Not a B-Dog.
I like that pick.
Yeah.
5A, Carl.
Mammal.
Wow. Okay.
Princeton.
And I'm going Chisago. You realize now Chisago has beaten both of those teams already this year.
Mammal's got the best name.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. 6A, Danny.
6A, Alex.
Carl.
Cathedral.
I'm going Cathedral.
I think Alex is going to be streaky enough to do it.
Now, there is no way we can't Goocher this one. 7A, Tony says Hermantown. Carl.
Kevalith. No, Hermantown.
Damn it, Carl, you stole my joke.
All right, go ahead. What are you going to say?
Hermantown.
All right, we have 3 Goochers. And then I think we have another one coming here. Carl, 8A.
East Grand.
East.
East Grand, yeah. So we have 4 Goochers where we all agree on the exact same one. Well, that was fun. Any comments on any of these that stood out? Anyone's picks?
I was surprised that we all chose Moorhead.
Yeah, that's a really tough section.
And we all chose the right, all chose the same pick. That's what's weird is 1 through 5 can legitimately come out of this section.
Yes.
And so that's what's weird for me. I'm surprised that in 4AA that you guys still picked Stillwater.
Yeah, I'm all in.
You're all
Wedding Crashers. I'm all in.
You put the chips in a while ago.
I did. I'm all in on this team. I love them.
But I just think some crazy things are going to happen in that. And I think, you look at a Hill team, they're coached by Lechner, and they almost beat them last year, okay?
Right.
And so I see them, they're not threatened by Stillwater on the name on the front of the jersey.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, let's get to our last segment, which will be the games coming up this week. And we have 4 pick'ems. I'm guessing Hockey Day Minnesota is one of those 4. So let's roll through them.
Okay, let's do non-pick'ems first. Blaine plays Centennial this week. I think this is another test for Centennial to show legitimacy. If they're able to beat Blaine like Edina just beat Blaine 6-1 or something like that. I was at the game. I stopped paying attention because it was just Edina just took control of that game with their skating ability. I think that's if Centennial can do that, this is a big feather in the cap, type of win because it's a big section win.
I agree. I think that Centennial could end up getting the number 1 seed in this section.
Yep. Carl on that
I
one?
think it's huge in this section. Yeah. Yeah, and I think Centennial will win this. But they already beat Blaine once. They'll do it again.
Yeah. So, next game, Edina plays Eden Prairie on Thursday. That Centennial game is on Thursday as well. Edina plays Eden Prairie. This is late conference play starts off this week, you guys, and so this is start of those SEC battles type of thing.
Yeah, Edina. I mean, how hard a week is that? Eden Prairie plays Edina on Thursday, and then they go to Hockey Day on Saturday. I mean, that's I don't feel sorry for them.
And then Edina plays Hill Murray.
I know. This is a crazy week. A lot of stuff. I mean, if you think Carl had a hard time with rankings this week, how about next Sunday? Oh my gosh.
Right.
But I think this is a game that Eden Prairie has at home, but I still think Edina wins because Edina's playing good hockey right now, and
I do too.
Yeah, I think they are. They're playing good, and I think they win.
I do too. I'm not going to argue with that one.
Yeah. And then next game that I want to talk about, Hill plays Edina at Braemar on Saturday. I'll probably go to this one. This should be a fun game. It's usually a good game. So I think Edina again comes away with it, and I think they're going to come away with it kind of big. I think this is going to be a 5-2 win. What's your takeaway on this one, Carl?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the Hornets too. I'm going to take EP on Thursday, but I think Edina
Okay.
looking strong. And Hill hasn't played to that tough of a schedule too, so I think it starts to get exposed a little bit now.
Yeah, I have to argue. I can't No argument there. I still think Edina is a way better team than Hill Murray. Again, I'm not buying any shares of Hill Murray. If they beat Edina, then I'll be one of those late to the party kind of guys.
Okay, here's a game that I just want to talk about. Eastview plays Lakeville North. This is a game that Eastview won earlier in the season. Is Eastview the number 2 team playing like the number 2 team in Section 3 AA right now?
Right.
Yeah, that's where I'm hesitant
Yeah,
because they lost to Burnsville this week, didn't they?
Yep.
And so I moved Burnsville into that 2 spot, and this is a game. If Eastview wants to show legitimacy, this is where they start to prove it, sort of thing.
Absolutely.
With another win against Lakeville North. So I just wanted to touch on that one. Not a very important game, but it's for Section 3 AA.
Eastview plays Jefferson too this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and that's
big. They got a big week.
Yeah,
they can make hay or they can go back to the barn.
Just because of the way St. Thomas is playing right now, if they play a team that gets on the board on them quickly in a section game, you got to question what St. Thomas is going to do because that's how St. Thomas lost last year. So
Correct.
Just look, that's an important game. And then probably another important game on Tuesday. Cloquet plays Rapids. Just Rapids got to figure stuff out. And if they lose to Cloquet, this is, wheels have started to come off the bus.
Yeah, I mean that town. There's so much pressure to win.
Yeah,
and it's all they talk about in that town, and that's one of the reasons it's so attractive to stay and play there.
Yeah,
but it's also one of the reasons why you want to just get out when the going goes tough. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of pressure there.
Well, it's like Nebraska football.
Yes,
when
it's
Nebraska,
the only show in town.
It's the only show in town. I remember this at Nebraska. Like, if some player tweeted something just negatively, oh my God, like everybody be talking about it and be like, you guys, it's not that big of a deal. Like, breathe.
Right, just breathe.
That's
or as Casey said, relax.
It's a 2-star commit. We don't need to just get all riled up that we got another commit. It's 2-star.
Right.
So yeah, that's the type of concept. Okay, let's do pick'ems. What are we starting with, Tony?
STMA, the family.
The family. This is a Tuesday
great game.
I'm going to go down to this game in Victoria. This should be a fun game. I'm picking STMA in this one. Just goaltending, I think is going to be kind of at a premium in this game, and I think STMA has
so you're
to prove.
saying
I'm not saying that Jared Moe's a better goaltender. I'm saying that the St. Michael kid's going to stand up taller in this game.
Wow, you have a crystal ball?
I do.
Because if you're saying goaltending is the difference, I'm not ripping on STMA's goaltender here, but Jared Moe is arguably the best goaltender in the state.
Yeah, but I think it comes down to forwards. Goaltending also depends. They're not playing the same team, sort of thing. And
I've seen both teams play. I don't think this one's even close. I'm going Holy Family.
I agree. Yeah, Holy Family won't be close.
Won't even be close.
It's fine. I'll be there. I'll be tweeting. So you'll see
all right.
me.
Well, I can't wait. I might even go to that one because it's 2 teams that play completely different styles of hockey, and they're both very physical. So there'll be some bruises after this game.
Yeah, it should be fun. It should be a good game.
Is our next game Elk River Maple Grove?
Sure.
Very important game because Maple Grove has been, as Daniel said, they've been middling around the 10 mark all year. If they can beat Elk River, I think this is a legit top 10 team.
Yeah.
Whenever we think they're going to do it, they don't. So I'm going Elk River.
Carl?
Yeah, me too, Elk.
I'm going to go Maple Grove. I think this is a big conference game sort of thing, and I think this is where we see Maple Grove with 5AA being such a question mark. Somebody's got to step up and start to prove themselves, and Centennial did it this weekend, and now Maple Grove is going to go punch for punch with them and going to win in this game. So that's where I'm going to see this.
All right, second to last game is Hermantown White Bear Lake.
This is on what day is this?
I think
this
that's
is on Saturday. Yeah.
Saturday?
No, this is Friday. This is the
Friday.
Friday game. Sorry. So this is at White Bear.
Yep.
Who do you got? Tony, you got to pick first, right?
Okay, I'll go first. I'm going to go Hermantown. I alluded to it earlier. I think Hermantown is the best team in the state. AA, A, you name it, they're the best team in the state. They're playing the best. Our White Bear Lake won't even challenge them. It won't matter.
Okay, you want me to go or you want to go, Carl?
Well, I'll go. I'm just going to follow suit and agree with Tony again here. Yeah, I after watching Hermantown this past week, they certainly had stretches where the passing was by far the best of any team I've seen so far this year. I think they'll roll over White Bear Lake.
I'm going to go the Bears. The Bears are going to pull this one off because I'm going to be there to watch it. And it's, I think it really comes down to Pronto. I think goaltending, again, is, Pronto's better. And so I think this is going to be a physical game, though. So it should be fun to watch.
They could have Ken Dryden in the net, and it wouldn't matter. Hermantown's going to win this one.
Jesus.
How's that? It won't
Just
matter.
dropping Dryden cards out there. Okay.
I like it, whatever. Tretiak, you name it. I'm going old school with my goalie names.
Okay, Hockey Day.
This will be good.
This is up in Stillwater.
This is going to be good. If they actually play it. At this point, it doesn't look like they're going to play outside.
No, it really doesn't. And so it's so bad when the ice is bad, too, that Hockey Day just gets really ugly.
Yeah, it's like there's never been the perfect Hockey Day, it seems like.
No, the St. Thomas Hill game was good weather.
Was that down on the landing strip?
Yeah, that was actually good because they had a refrigerated strip there. And
they have refrigerated in Stillwater. It doesn't matter. If it's pouring rain, it won't matter.
It doesn't matter.
If it's pouring rain, you can't play hockey outside.
Okay, and we're not picking the first game in Hockey Day, the Thief River Falls Matamidi, because we all believe that Matamidi should roll in this one pretty easily too. But okay, do I pick first in this one, Tony?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I pick first. I'm going Eden Prairie. Casey's going shark mode, blood in the water, just going all over them.
So you're going to go, it's on TV, Casey's going to turn it on.
Oh, well, he turns it on every time he's out there.
All right. I'm still going Stillwater on this one. Carl, this is a 50-50 game as far as I'm concerned. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's 50-50, but I think Eden Prairie's going to go on a little bit of a run here in the second half. I think, they have the talent. I'm sure they've been playing around for a little bit the front season, but it's time for them to show who they are. I think they're winning this game.
Well, we're going to definitely make some waves in our picks. Last week, Carl went 1-3, and Danny and I both went.
No, I didn't. No, I know.
Yeah, you did. We have them.
Yeah, you did. I have it in writing now. You went. Do you want to review his picks?
Yes. Okay, Carl.
I can't see it.
Yeah. Did you pick Grand Rapids or Duluth East?
Reverse jinx.
Okay, you picked Grand Rapids. Lakeville North, Lakeville South. You won this one. You picked Lakeville North. You picked Minnetonka in the Moorhead game, and you picked the Rams in the Roseau game.
That's
That's
1-3.
1-3. Well, yeah.
Oh well, but no one really did well. I mean, no one went 3-1
We're
or 4-0.
gloating when we got one more game right.
I know. Let's do a quick peruse through Carl's top 10. Carl, I said before the show, I feel sorry for you. I feel even sorrier for you next week because there's so many good games. Something bound to go down next week. So we'll just do your top 10. Number 1, you have Stillwater. Justify that one.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they lost, but at the same time, I think they've done enough so far that, and the teams below them have lost enough games that I'm not going to drop them further than that. If they do lose again, though, it could get drop a bit, though, because their schedule hasn't been as strong.
I agree, and I don't think there's going to be any argument with Edina at number 2.
No, they're
I think that's legitimate too, but making them number 1, they haven't done enough, and they've lost enough, and
they got to beat Eden Prairie this week to really solidify,
and
even
the tie with White Bear. And, I mean, and that was a comeback tie. It wasn't like they got tied at the last minute.
That week when that Burnsville game wasn't special either.
Correct.
They're questioning. Okay,
yep, I agree with that. Number 3, Elk River. I kind of agree with. This is where it gets ugly, is after 3. Elk River 3. Number 4, Hill Murray. 10-1-3. That's about the only thing going for them.
Yeah, just their record. Yep. I mean, if you don't like Stillwater's wins, you don't like Hill Murray's wins, really.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Centennial number 5. I mean, this is a yo-yo team, and you're yo-yoing them in and out of your rankings every week. Why 5, Carl? That just seems way too gracious.
Yeah, well, they've beaten the team right below them, Eden Prairie. Their losses are to very good teams. They just killed an Elk River team that's ahead of them. So,
that's a huge jump.
Record,
that's
schedule.
a huge jump.
Again, I think I dropped them too far last week.
Right. Okay, number 6, you have Eden Prairie. No argument on that one. Number 7, Holy Family. I think the big win over
Rapids.
Delano.
And Rapids is a big.
and
win.
Rapids the previous week is enough to get them back to 7. I think 7 is right where they should be.
They'll move up after this week.
And it's ironic, isn't it? They're 6 and 7 with Eden Prairie. That's just we're getting ready for the big clash. And then 8 is Lakeville North. Their win over Lakeville South probably solidifies them there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sold on them yet.
I'm not either, but I still think they're better than South by a whisker.
By a whisker, just by forward talent sort of thing.
And then STA stays in the top 10 despite losing to Matamita. I'm sure that was a hard one for you to ink in at number 9, but you did it anyway.
Thank you.
And then lastly, the thing that I think the most overrated team in the state right now is Grand Rapids at number 10.
Yeah.
And
where are your Hounds, Carl? I mean, Duluth East is playing good hockey right now too.
I agree.
Better than St. Thomas Academy. So
I'm not sure who's worse, Mike Randolph for kind of playing 3 lines and not playing to win all throughout the regular season, then clamping down in the playoffs, or Carl for, slow playing these guys, putting them on the back burner so nobody can see them. I am on to you guys. You and Mike have a little conspiracy together.
East Side people. Okay, well, that's probably wraps it up there, Tony.
Yeah, that'll do it. We ran through the top 10 really quick. Danny and I questioned whether East, Maple Grove, White Bear Lake were all 3 deserving of those top 10 spots.
Yes.
And you could take any one of them. It doesn't matter. So that'll wrap up today's show. Thanks to our sponsor, Mayo Clinic Sports Medicine. Thanks, Danny and Carl, for joining me on the show today. We will see you guys around the rink. Have a happy hockey day next Saturday, and we'll see you back here on Sunday.
Last night my kid tore up his league. He had a hat trick right up his sleeve. Coach said he's never seen that. Gemini Athletics gonna have to stitch the C-patch. I've got Ferraris, Maseratis, drive all over the place. I drink martinis, never seen these looks all over their face.